Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session, continuing our journey through the York cycle. We are now up to plays 31 and 32 as we continue the build up to the Passion. Today we're having a trial before Herod, and then we're going on to some issues with Judas, some tidying up of Judas material in play 32. This session, we are joined by this wonderful array of readers who are going to continue our exciting journey. So, reading Herod today is
Rachael Nicole, actor on the East Coast.
Reading First Soldier today is...
Hello, I'm Valentina. I am an Italian actor and voiceover artist in London.
Reading Second Soldier for the first play and Pilate for the second is...
Hello, Helen Good. I'm a historian, also on the East Coast, but a different country.
Reading First Dux and Second Soldier in the second play is...
Hi, I'm Eric, and I'm trapped in the 15th century.
It's a fun place to be trapped in. Reading First Son and Judas today is...
Hi, Alan Scott, based in Suffolk, UK.
Reading Second Son and Caiaphas today is...
Hi, Lois Potter in London.
Reading Third Son and Annas today is...
Hello, Dan, actor based in Montpellier, France.
And reading Second Dux and Armiger today is...
I'm Sparrow, actor in Lincolnshire.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'd be reading stage directions, but there are almost no stage directions in York. So we're starting off with the listers, the dyers, basically. These are dyers, they are the guild doing this one, which means we can probably expect that some of the costumes are going to look fab, and they may talk about how wonderful their costumes are because of the wonderful dyes that they may have in place. So without further ado, let's dive into some Herod action. Herod's household. He's got some counselors, he's got some children, and in a moment he's going to have some fun with Jesus. I say fun. Expect the possibility of extreme violence, anti-Semitism, and other forms of unfortunate material that may appear in the text coming up. On that note, Herod, take it away.
Peace, ye brothels and broles, in this broidness embraced, and fracks that are friendly, your freakness to frain, your tongues fro treating of trifles be traced, or this brand that is bright shall breast in your brain. Plextis for no placis, but plate you to this plane, and draw to no drawing, but dress you to dread with dashes. Travails, not as traitors that trysts entrain, or by the blood that our God bled, with this blood shall ye bleed. Thus shall I Britine all your bones on bread, yea, and lush all your limbs with lashes. Dragons that are dreadful shall darken their den in wrath, when we writhe or in wrathness are whapped. Against jaunts ungentle have we joined with engines, and swans that are swimming to our sweetness shall be swapped and jogged down their jolliness our gentries engender end. Whoso reprieve our estate, we shall chop them in chains. All ranks that are renowned to us shall be reverend. Therefore I bid you cease, or any bail be, that no brothel be so bold boast for to blows, and ye that loves your lives, listen to me, as a lord that is learned to lead you by laws. And ye that are of my men and of my many, since we are comen fro our kith, as ye well know, and similis all here same in this city, it sits us in sadness to set all our saws.
My lord, we shall take keep to your call and stir to no stead, but ye Stephen us, nay grievance to great nay to small.
Yeah, but look that no faults befall.
Layly, my lord, so we shall. Ye need not know more for to neven us.
Monseigneur, the minute mens can mind what I mean, and bound to your bold word, for so hold I best. For all the commons of this court be avoid clean, and ilka rank as reason as are gone to their rest. Wherefore I counsel, my lord, he command you a drink.
Now, certes, I assent as thou says. See, each man is went on his ways, lightly withouten any delays. Give us wine, Winley, and let us go wink, and see that no durden be done.
And the king has a drink.
My lord, unless you to lie, here shall none come for to cry.
Now speedily look that thou spy, that no noise be nigh, and this none.
My lord, your bed is new made, you needs naught for to bide it.
Yeah, but as thou loves me heartily, lay me down softly, for thou wot full well that I am full tenderly hided.
How lie ye, my good lord?
Right well by this light, all whole at my desire, wherefore I pray Sir Satan our sire, and Lucifer most lovely of liar, he save you all, sirs, and give you good night.
Sir Knight, you wot we are wont to wend, to wit of this warlow what is the king's will.
Sir, here is Herod, all even here at our hand, and all our intent tight shall we tell him until.
Who is here?
Who is there?
Sir, we are knights kend, is coming to your council this carl for to kill.
Sirs, but your message may mirth some end, stalks of forth by yon streets, or stand stone still.
Yes, certes, sir, of mirths we mean. The king shall have matters to mell him. We bring here a boy as between, wherefore have worship we ween.
Well, sirs, so that it turned to no teen, tense him, and we shall go tell him.
And I'm just going to pause there because there's a couple of nice points. I really like the soldier. Who is here? Who is there? Sort of back and forth as we have. So I think it's important to remember that the first and second soldier are basically holding up Jesus as they're dragging him in. Jesus doesn't say anything. Spoiler there for those reading ahead. You may have noticed we didn't give out any parts unless I've missed him saying something in passing. But one of the points of this play is that Jesus doesn't really say anything. So it's important to just make sure that everyone is aware that Jesus is now in the room and effectively is with the soldiers at this point. Herod is obviously member of the same wine club as we had in the previous play. It's just what the bad people do when they need to be sort of move a little bit further up the pageant cart or whatever. It just seems to be, shall we go and have some drink? Yes, we shall. It seems it's reminding me now of sort of mid 20th century thrillers now of just a weekly rep. What do we do? How do we block this scene? Right, you now go to the drinks cabinet while everybody else goes downstage. It's very like that. Lois.
Yeah, this all feels terribly familiar. I think we had almost exactly the same thing with Pilate. I mean, either this is a very unoriginal dramatist copying like mad, or I don't know, did they have a special interesting bed that everybody really liked watching somebody get lowered into? I mean, because it seemed to be exactly the same thing with Pilate. You know, are you comfortable? Have we got you in the right place? Are you sure you're all right? I mean, this seems so totally uninteresting. There must be some reason why they're doing it.
Maybe it's just really good business that people liked, and it just grew. Because you say, yeah, you're right. Pilate does something similar. Caiaphas does something similar. Certainly in terms of the wine. Apologies, I'm being buzzed by a helicopter overhead. Rachael, and then Eric.
No, I was gonna bring up that wine because it's interesting. Is it because you have those Norman kings, and I guess do you have that wine country in France as part of the country becoming a part of England or the UK at this time? Or is there a wine guild in York that has a lot of sway or something? Or is this a drinking game like we did with the one we just did last week that my brain is just flatlining on? What's
Well,
with this wine?
we intimated the like water like drinking game. It wasn't. It's extra textural, but yeah, it's an interesting question. I'm not sure which guild precisely covers the wine, but I'm fairly certain there's at least one that will be covering wine. But this seems quite widespread in terms of its wine usage because it's across different pageants. So it may be a status thing. Herod, of course, being quite violent as well. Just mentioning that the opening imagery of Herod being really keen on hitting people over the head quite hard, with alliteration as well. Eric,
I was going to say that it seems a bit like sort of almost to create dramatic tension, but they forgot to take that part out of the script. Sort of like, yes, Herod goes to bed, and so he's awoken in the middle of the night. But, they kind of forgot to take it out of the script and just sort of write his stage directions.
other thoughts? I don't want to linger too long here because we've barely scratched the surface. Okay, we'll crack on. So probably second soldier here. Second councillor here. Second Dux has to wake up Herod. Good luck.
My lord, yonder is a boy bound that brought is in blame. Haste you in high, they hove at your gates.
What, and shall I rise now in the devil's name to style among strangers in stalls of estate? But have here my hand, hold now, and see that my slop be well sitten.
My lord, with a good will I would you, no wrong will I wit my wittened. But, my lord, we can tell you of uncouth titans.
Yeah, but look ye well, us no tales but true.
My lord, they bring you yonder a boy bound in a band that bodes either boarding or bales to brew.
Then get we some harrow full hastily at hand.
My lord, there is some note that is needful to you, to even you of new.
Why, hopest thou they haste him to hing?
We wot naught their will nor their wenning, but bode word full blithely they bring.
Now do then, and let us see of their saying.
Lo, sirs, ye shall carp with the king, and tells to him manly your meaning.
Lord, wealth and worships will be with you always.
What would thou?
A word, Lord, and your wills were.
Well, say on then.
My lord, we fair fools to flay, that to you would forfeit.
We fair fall you therefore.
My lord, for ye hear what we say, it will heave up your hearts.
Yeah, but say what hind have ye there?
A present from Pilate, Lord, the prince of our lay.
Peace in my presence, and name him no more.
My lord, he will worship you fain.
I conceive ye are full foes of him.
My lord, he would mince you with main, and therefore he sends you this swain.
Go tight with that gedling again, and say him a borrowed fine, set I not be him.
My lord, with your leave, they have far and far, and for to phrase of your fare was no folly.
My lord, and this gedling go thus, it will grieve were, for he gares grow on this ground great villainy.
Why, means thou that mighting should my mights mar?
Nay, lord, but he makes on this mold mickle mastery.
Go in, and let us see of the saw's air, and but if they be to our boarding, they both shall abide.
My lord, we were worthy to blame, to bring you any message of miss.
Why, then can ye name in us his name?
Sir, Christ have we called him at hame.
Oh, this is the ilke selv and the same. Now, sires, ye be welcome, ye wis, and in faith I am fain he is fond, his farls to frain and to fell. Now these games was grathly begone.
Lord, Lely, that likes us well.
Yeah, but dare ye hate heartily that harlot is he?
My lord, take seed, and in haste ye shall hear how.
Yeah, but what means that this message was made unto me?
My lord, for it touches to treason, I trow.
My lord, he is culpable kenned in our country of many perilous points, as Pilate preves now.
My lord, when Pilate heard he had gone through Galilee, he learned us that lordship longed to you. Or he wist what your wills were, no further would he speak for to spill him.
Then knows he that our mights are the more.
Ja, certes, sir, so say we Thor.
Now, certes, in our friendship, therefore, we grant him, and no grievance we will him. And sirs, ye are welcome, ye wis, as ye well ought, and for to wend at your will I you warrant, for I have covet kindly that comely to gnaw, for men carps that the carl should be cunnend.
My lord, would he say you sooth of his sore? Ye never saw silker selcouth by sea nor by sand.
Now goes back both, and let the boy blow, for I hope we get some har hastily at hand.
Jerusalem and the Jews may have joy and heal in their heart for her him.
Say bienvenue in bon fait, ne plissez et parle moi?
Nay, my lord, he can have no boarding, this boy.
No, sir, with thy leave we shall leer him.
Lord! Sorry. Apologies.
No, you are the first one, sorry.
My lord, see their knights that gnaw and are keen, how they come to your court without any call.
Yeah, son, and muster's great masteries, what may this bemean?
My lord, for your mights are more than they all. They seek you as a sovereign, and certes that is seen.
Now, certes, sin ye say so, say him I shall, for I am fainer of that freak than other 15. Yea, and him that first fand, fair might him fall.
Lord, Lely will erreth, you nor leth. This life that he leads will lose him.
Well, sirs, draw you a dry, and Bashirs, bring ye him nigh. For if all that his sleights be sly, yet ere he pass, we shall oppose him. Oh, my heart hops for joy to see now this prophet appear. We shall have good game with this boy. Take heed, for in haste ye shall hear. I leave, we shall laugh and have a liking to see now this litteron, he legis our laws.
Hark, cousin, thou comes to carp with king. Take tent and be command, and carp as thou knows.
Yeah, and look that thou be not a sort of thy saying, but sadly and soon thou settle thy sores.
Him seems full bodish, that boy that they bring.
My lord, and of his boarding great boasting men blaws.
Why therefore have I sought him to see? Look, besires, ye be to our bodice bone.
Kneel down here to the king on thy knee.
Nay, needlings it will not be.
Lo, sirs, he makes him no more unto me than it were to a man of their own town.
Way, go Lomer, and learn thee to lout, or they more blame thee to bring.
Nay, dreadless without any doubt, he knows not the course of a king. And here be'us in our bale, borden or we blin. Say first at the beginning withal, where was thou born? Do, fellow, for thy faith, let us fall in. First of thy ferals, who fed thee beforn? What deigns thou not? Lo, sirs, he deafs us with din. Say, where lead ye this lidrone? His language is lorn.
My lord, he's marvels to more and to mine, or musters among us both midday and morn.
My lord, it were to feel of wonders he worked them so wightily.
Where man, mumbling may nothing avail, go to the king and tell him fro top unto tail.
Do bring us that boy unto bail, for lately we left him not lightly.
This mop means that he may mark men to their meed. He makes many maestries and marvels among.
5,000 folk fair gone he feed, with 5 loaves and 2 fishes to fang.
How fell folks say thou he fed?
5,000, Lord, that come to his call.
Yeah, boy, how mickle bread he them bed.
But 5 loaves dare I well wed.
Now be the blood that our God bled. What? This was a wonder at all.
Now, Lord, 2 fishes blessed he eft, and gave them, and there none was forgotten.
Yeah, Lord, and 12 lepful there left to relieve when all men had eaten.
Of such another mangery no man many may.
My Lord, but his maestries that musters his might.
But say, sirs, are there saw sooth that they say?
Yea, Lord, and more selcouth was showed to our sight. One Lazar, a lad that in our land lay looking under a lair for limb and for light, and his sister come reckoned in rueful array, and Lord, for their rearing he raised him full right, and forth his gart him gang ever forth without any evil.
Please, such lessons last too long.
Why, Lord, within ye that words be wrong, this same Luddy levies us among.
Why, there hope I by deeds of the devil. Why should ye haste him to hing that sought not newly your news?
My Lord, for he calls him a king and claims to be king of Jews.
But say, is he king in his kith where he come from?
Nay, Lord, but he calls him a king he cares to kill.
Then it is little wonder if that he be woe, for to be wearied with wrang sin he works well. But he shall sit, be myself sin ye say so.
And we're
Comes
just going to
near
pause
king into
there
court.
before Herod has another conflab with the silent Jesus. Yes, so they brought Jesus in. Herod isn't immediately interested. All sorts of interesting questions about Herod's presentation, and how he's going to receive visitors at this hour. His sons turn up. Initially, I think we've had a couple of sons. Have we had some sons, or did I imagine
Just
that?
the one.
We just had the one, sort of popping in. I'll check whether that's accurate. Yes, it was. They did say son, didn't they? But yes, we got all these various people, and Herod started to interrogate his counselors about, what have we heard about Jesus? Well, this is a good opportunity for us to tell you all about the good things that Jesus did. Because even if especially if his enemies tell you about it, then it must be true. Which is a game we have repeatedly through these plays. Thoughts from the room, Briony?
So there's a bit. Are they just being really, really horrible to him when they say about his language is law? And is that a real Mickey take? Because he hasn't said anything at all.
Yeah, he's being sarky. He's he deafs us with din. And he's just, can we? There's something sort of very playfully mean about Herod here as he's sort of dancing around. Because he wants. Do magic tricks for me. Sorry, back to you, Briony.
And just the other bit that I really, really liked there was when I'd sort of said to Herod about the loaves and the fishes, and then he's like, "But how many people was it?" And we tell him again. He's like, "And how many fishes was it?" That's just brilliant. Really hammer that point home.
Yeah, for those at the back of the crowd, Alan, then Lois.
Yeah, I think Lorne is, in context, is probably lost, effectively, isn't it?
That's what I thought. Yeah, cat got your tongue or something.
The fact that he's quite possibly at this point bleeding and being pummeled by the 2 squaddies is entirely beside the point.
He's primarily very bruised at the moment. We'll get to serious bloodshed anon. Spoilers there, and for that matter, warning for those coming for things coming up. Lois.
Yeah, this does seem to be an extremely long-winded conversation. Doesn't Herod start by addressing Jesus in French on the theory that, this guy comes from somewhere else, so bienvenue?
Parlez-vous français?
And then probably speaks louder and slower.
Yeah.
Standard technique number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other thoughts? Yeah, it's Oh, Lois.
Well, I just noticed that line about is my slop well sitten. I think slops are trousers, aren't they?
Oh,
Do
yes,
trousers
of course.
fit properly?
Yeah, he's making a thing about his appearance, because he's just been dragged out of bed. Is everything hanging right? Before I see the guests. Yeah, we had various discussions in the chat about what's going on there, because we have this. See that my slop be well sit and I was wondering, have here my hand whether he's actually slapping the person. Hold your face in place so I can slap you properly. Thank you. That's how I read it, but no, it isn't that. That's sometimes how. But that's not to say you couldn't play it that way, or for that matter, that it has something to do with his chamber pot being emptied over the soldier's head, which I quite liked as an interpreter. I think Helen put that one forward.
Well, no, it wasn't being emptied over his head. I was suggesting that he was having got out of bed, he was the first. Yeah, never mind.
Okay. Other thoughts? So Herod has been presented with this chap. Heard all about him now. Herod, you can pick up the dialogue from where you left. You can skip back a few lines just to if you like, but otherwise comes near. Have a little. See if you can get Jesus to say anything to you.
Comes near, king, into court. Say, can he not kneel? We shall have God's full good in games ere we go. How likes that? Well, Lord, say, what devil never a dell? I fought in my reverend in Otil Moy. I am a favor, Lou, fair before. Kite out you gilment, Uta, oi. Be any wit that I wait it will wax wear. Servicia premet, such lossels and lurdens as thou, Lou. Respicias timit. What the devil in his dam shall I now do? Do carp on, Carl, for I can thee cure. Say, may thou not hear me? Oi, man, art thou wood? Now tell me faithfully before how thou, for forth, friend, by my faith, thou art a fond food.
My lord, it astonies him. Your Stephen is so store. Him had lever, had stand stone. Still there he stood.
And whether the boy be abashed of Herod by blur, that were a board of the best by our God's blood.
My lord, I trow your Phocian him flays and lets him.
Now, Lael, I leave thee, and therefore shall I wave it away, and softly with a sceptre essay. Now, sir, be pert, I thee pray, for none of my grooms shall grieve thee. Si locuris tibit laus, pariter quoque prospera dantur, si loqueris tibi fraus, fel fex et bella parantur. My man, ye go mensk him with main, and look you that it would be same.
Duke's faith, sir, and sovereign.
Sir Udin's a man gidre domain.
Go, answer them grathly again. What devil, where dote we or dreams?
Nay, we get not one word. Did I well wed? For he is rust of his wit, or will of his woe.
Ye say he lacked your laws as ye that lad led.
Yeah, Lord, and made many gourds as we have gone.
Now sin he comes as a knave, and as a knave clad, whereto call ye him a king?
Nay, lord, he's none, but an harlot is he.
What devil, I am hard stead. A man might as well star a stoke as a stone.
My lord, this face so foully is afraid. He looked never of lord so langly alone.
No, son, the ribald sees us so richly arrayed, he weens weepy angels ever ilken.
My lord, I hold him aghast of your gay gear.
Great lords ought to be gay. Here shall no man do to thee dear, and therefore it namen in my near. For by the great God and thou gar me swear, thou had never dole or this day. Do carp on tight, Carl of thy kin.
Nay, Nedlings you nevens you with none.
That shall he buy or he blin.
Leaves, lord.
Let's me alone.
How, good lord, and ye may move you no more. It is not fair to fight with the fond food, but goes you to your council and comfort you there.
Thou say sooth. We shall see if so will be good, for certes our sorrows are sad.
What a devil ails him? My lord, I can gar you be glad, for in time our master is mad. He lurks low and looks like a lad. He is wooed, lord, or else his wit fails him.
My lord, you have missed you as meckle as ye may, for ye might mensk him no more were he Mahmoud, and sen it seems to be so, let us now assay.
Look, you sires, ye be to our bodice bound.
My lord, how should he doubt us? He dreads not your drays.
Now do forth, the devil might him drown, and sid he frames falsehood and makes foul phrase, rears on him rudely, and look ye not round.
My lord, I shall enforce myself sin ye say so. Fellow, be naught afeard, nor feign not therefore, but tell us now some truffles between us two, and none of our men shall meddle them more. And therefore by reason array thee, do tell us some point for thy prow. Hear'st thou not what I say thee? Oh, mumble and mighting I may thee, help and turn thee from teen as I trow.
Look up, lad, lightly, and lout to my lord here, for bail unto bliss he may now thee borrow. Carp on, knave, cantly, and cast thee to cord here, and say me now somewhat, thou sotterel with sorrow. Why stands thou as still as a stone here? Spare not, but speak in this place here. Thou gedling, it may gain thee some grace here.
My lord, this fator is so feared in your face here, none answer in this need, he nevens you with none here. Do Besheris for Belial blood, and his bones say somewhat, or it will wax wear.
Nay, we get naught one word in this once.
Do cry we all on him at once.
Oyez! Oyez! Oyez!
Oh, ye make a foul noise for the nonce.
Nedling, my lord, it is never the near.
My lord, all your muting amends not a mite. To meddle with a madman is marvel to mean. Command your knights to clothe him in white, and let him care as he came to your country.
Lo, sirs, we lead you no longer a light. My son has said sadly how that it should be, but such a point for a page is to parfit.
My lord, fools that are fond, they fall such a fee.
What, in a white garment to go, thus gaily gird in a gown?
Nay, lord, but as a fool forced him fro.
How say ye, sir, should it be so?
Nay,
Oh,
lord!
lord.
We then, is there no more, but boldly bid them be bound.
And
Sir
we'll just
Knights-
pause there again, mid flow of Herod. It's getting nastier, but in quite subtle ways. They've been talking at Herod, at Jesus. But now it's sort of the passing him around the sons. The children just basically shouting in his face, anybody in there? Just, and it's, you get the impression that this is just creeping towards violence, but it's not. It's on that knife edge at the moment. And again, we've got this discussion. Why isn't he saying anything? Maybe he is astounded by your wonderful clothing, my lord, because great lords ought to be gay. Or their lovely their gay gear. He's looking fab. Yes, I said earlier the dyers might want to make a mention of their wonderful colours, and indeed thus it is. Thoughts in the room before we go into the final phase of this. It might not go well. Eric.
I find it interesting that it's sort of very all the stage directions are basically embedded in the dialogue. So it's like, yes, I will hit you and I will slap you and I will. No, why don't we shout at him? Yeah, let's shout at him, and then they basically prompt each other to do stuff, or like sort of kneel, sit, stand up, whatever, that kind of thing.
So yeah, the in our instance, invisible presence here of it, the physicality of Jesus is really important in this scene. He doesn't say anything, but actually, it's all focusing on him, and moving in that way. Other thoughts? No. Okay, let's finish the sequence. Herod, I cut you off mid speech. There's been a discussion that in a white garment to go he will. So presumably they do the whitest whites in the dyers. So Herod, Sir Knights we cast.
Sir Knights, we cast agar, you be glad. Our counsel has warned us wisely and well. White clothes, we say, falls for a fonnet lad, and all his folly in faith fully we feel.
We will with a good will for his weeds wend, for we wot well enow what weeds he shall wear.
Lo, here is an haterall here at your hand, all fashioned therefore fools to fear.
Lo, here a joppin of joy, all such should be good for a boy.
He shall be rayed like a roy, and shall be fun in his folly.
We thank them, evil mote thou thee.
Nay, we get not a word, well I warrant.
Man, muster some marvel to me.
What, win ye he be wiser than we? Left we, and let the king see how it is forced and found. My lord, look if he be paid, for we have gotten him his gear.
Why, and is this for bold arrayed? My blessing besires ye bear. Go, scar cry in my court, and grathly gar write all the deeds that we have done in this same degree. And who finds him grieved, let him tell tight. And if we find no default, him fullest to go free.
Oh yes, if any white with this wretch any worse works bears witness, or whoso works sprang, busk boldly to the bar his bails to abate. For my lord be my lute, he will not be deland. My lord, here appears none to appear his estate.
Well then, falls him go free, Sir Knights. Then grafts you goodly to gang, and repair with your present, and say to Pilate we grant him our friendship all fully to fang.
My lord, with your leave this way shall we leer, as likes no longer to abide here.
My lord, an he were thought in weir, will come again with good cheer.
Nay, Bucires, ye find us not here, our leave will we take at this tide, and wrathly array us to rest, for such notes has noyed us or now.
Yeah, certes, lord, so hold thy best, for this gedling ungoodly has grieved you.
Look ye bear word as ye wot, how well we have quit us this while.
We, wise men, will deem it without, but if we make end of our note.
Whenceforth the devil in thy throat, we find no default him to slee. Wherefore should we flay him or flem him, we find naught in rolls of record. In sin that he is dumb, for to deem him, where this a good law for a lord? Nay, lawsuls unlayly, ye learned all too late. Go lear thus, lordings of your land, such lessons to lear. Repair with your present and say to Pilate, we grant him our power all plain to appear, and also our grievance forgive we algate. And we grant him our grace with a good cheer, as touching this brothel that brawls or debate. Bid him work as he will, and work not in weir. Go tell him this message from me, and lead forth that mighting evil mote he thee.
My lord, with your leave, let him be, for all too long let him have we.
What, ye sirs, my lord, will ye see?
What fellows, take ye no tent what I tell you, and bid you that yeomen ye yemen.
My lord, we shall wage him an ill way.
Nay, Bucires, be not so bream, fare softly, for so will it seem.
Now sin we shall do as you deem. Adieu, sir.
Dance on in the devil way.
And the play ends with two rather tired soldiers going, "Oh, right, we have to take him right back again, do we? Oh, joy. Oh, rapture." It's interesting with this taking Jesus to Herod is that we have no disputation from Annas and Caiaphas, which we have in others. You know, they're turning up saying, "Hi, would you like to kill this guy for us?" And here it's just the soldiers. They're not even pushing the point too much, just saying, here is this guy. Yeah, maybe you want to deal with him. And it's not as anywhere near as overtly violent as some of the other versions that I've seen, where you know there's a lot more explicit violence going on there, whereas this is just. It just feels just nastier than that. But maybe I missed some because there are no stage directions. Thoughts in the room about Herod's court, Herod, that little pageant all on its own before we go on to second pageant of the session. Who wants to leap in? I know it's a hot day for most of us. I'm sure you have thoughts. Come on, they must be bubbling away somewhere. Don't make me vamp. Don't make me come up with something. Lois.
It just seems to me this whole thing could have been done in about 4 lines. You know, who is this guy? Pilate sent him to you. Oh, thanks, but no thanks. Could you just send him back again? Okay. I mean, it seems. They just go on and on. I realize there's a sort of point in Jesus remaining silent while everybody tries everything they can, but still, it does seem to me that this is just terribly long for what it's got to do. Again, as you said, you know, the length seems to be the point. I mean, the problem is in this context, it's very difficult to make this scene, this play land because we don't have Jesus. Yeah. They're not doing it, and we're not getting that action to it. And that actually, the more people that Herod brings to the Oki to try and get something out of him, the more absurd the scene on some level gets. And you know, it's all about his dignity, presumably, and about how he deals with what they're doing. The fact they have to come up with their own reasons for, you know, why he's not saying anything, and they keep coming up with slightly different reasons, and none of them are very convincing. Yeah. Maybe he just thinks you're pathetic. Yes, I think that's probably what it is. And then they do some dress up and ask if anyone wants to speak for him. No, just move on. We're not having any. No more fun can be had from this toy. If Herod's just a big cat, that sort of that might work. Alan.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is that we've effectively got a reprise of what we've seen in 2 of the previous plays, of the authority figures basically being drunk or asleep and having to be woken up, and I mean that. You could almost reprise the same dialogue between the doorkeeper, janitor, soldiers on guard in each case. So you mean we've got to go and wake the boss up? He's not going to be happy bunny.
But there is a scene-setting element to that as well. This is something that's happening, late at night, early hours of the morning. It immediately conveys, if he's gone to bed, that the time of which this is happening. You don't get the sense of urgency with this one as you get with, say, at End Town, where you get the impression of people just constantly going, will you do that? No, you're not. Okay, we're going to go, and because it's a single action and the action flows around. As they're constantly moving Jesus back and forth, whereas this is a series of episodes of which you may not have seen the previous episode or the episode 2 episodes before. There's no guarantee the audience will have seen everything. Anything more? Otherwise, we'll go on to our next one. Helen.
Yeah, I was quite uncertain about the soldiers because at times they seemed to be bigging Jesus up. These particular soldiers, because they were the ones who were at first who were coming up with, this is an important guy. Yes, this is a man who claims to be king. Yes, this is a man who raises the dead. This is, it may be partly because they really wanted somebody else to take him off their hands. It could be played that way, but also they were the main, they seemed to be, certainly second soldier seemed to be a good one for rehearsing the miracles. Yeah.
Also if you're in charge of a famous prisoner, you want to spread that about. We had Jesus in our van the other week. Eric.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's interesting. It's obviously sort of all these shenanigans are half comical and half not, because it just basically delegates parts to people who are ultimately not very important, but they kind of are in plot wise. And no one really cares if the first soldier or the second soldier support Jesus or not, because we know what's going to happen. But it's just sort of, I don't know, maybe wasting time for things that are going to happen later.
Well, someone's got to push. In the absence of an Annas and Caiaphas, you need someone to be pushing for, can we, this important guy needs to be killed. Could you please kill him? And it's fallen to 2 deputies in this version of the story. Okay, we're going to go on to play Pageant 32, which is going to involve some Judas action. He's going to be a bit remorseful. And so it's the cooks and the water leaders. Cooked food, hot food, the guild thereof, broadly speaking, and the concessions thereof. Alan.
I'm just wondering whether it's actually, we would transcribe that as victuallers.
No,
it's not that far away, is it?
No, it's more sauce makers.
All right.
That's the meaning. So they're the ones doing all sorts of things and stuff. And actually, I should just mention, we should mention from the previous, because Lois has just put it in the chat. Actually, there are some lines where I was looking at the footnotes about, and I think the readers may have noticed that at that point I gave up trying to modernise the text, and the basic glosses I found is, nobody's really sure what this bit means.
Gibberish.
Yeah. And it may be a mood thing that when Herod gets incredibly angry or whatever, and that his language just disintegrates. But then there's also some evidence that the text has undergone some sort of alteration over time. It's not particularly... the versification is slightly odd, and the way it works. So it may be that there's something a bit garbled, which suggests that maybe it's a show that actually has quite a decent lineage to it, because you only sort of expect a play to be weirded in that way because it's been done a lot and maybe a bit got trimmed off here and a bit that got added on there. Anyway, let us go forward, as I promised, to the remorse of Judas. We're going to be reintroduced to Pilate. We've swapped one of the soldiers round, and let's see where we go.
Peace, beau chéri, I bid you that bells hear about me, and look that he stir with no strife, but stand stone still. Or by the Lord that me life lent, I shall gar you lout me, and all shall bide in my bale that works not my will. Ye rebels that reigns in this rout, ye stint of your stevening so stout, or with this brand that dear is to doubt, all to dead I shall drive you this day. For Sir Pilate of Ponce, as prince I am prieved, as rank most royal in richest array. There is no burn in this burr that has me about heaved, but he seeks me for sovereign, in certain I say, to know. Therefore, take heed of your lord's estate, that none jangle nor joll at my gate, nor no man to grath him no gate, till I have said and said all my saw. For I am the loveliest lapped and laid, with feature full fair in my face. My forehead is both brentes and braid, and mine eyne they glitter like the gleam in the glass. And the hair that hills my head is even like to the gold wire. My cheeks are both ruddy and red, and my colour as crystal is clear. There is no prince proved under Paul, but I am most mighty of all to behold. Nor king but he shall come to my call, nor groom that dare grieve me for gold. Sir Caiaphas, though counsel thy clergy is kid, for thy counsel is known for cunning and clear, and Sir Annas thine answer ought not to be hid, for thou is one and is able, and ought to be near in Parliament plain. And I am Prince Peerless, your points to inquire. How say ye, Jews, of Jesus that swain? Have done, sirs, say on your sores. What title now have ye unto him? And lately ye look upon your laws. Say, why sent ye so soon for to spill him?
Sir, that is Prince and Lord of our lay, that traitor untrue that ye have tell us. Now certain and soon, the sooth shall I say, it is Jesus that japer, that Judas gan sell us. He mars our men in all that he may. His marvels full mickle is mustered amel us. That fator so false, he does many death deeds on our Sabbath day, that uncommanded congiate, he casts him to quell us from man unto man. He will compel us, and undo you, and ourself alls. Yourself he will fordo, and he hold forth this space and all this jewelry too, if that ye grant him grace.
Sir Annas, this answer allow I nothing. I hold it but hatron, this article hail, and therefore, Sir Bishop, at my bidding, do tell me now truly the text of this tale. Do termine it truly and tight, for lely ye lead it by the law. Felony or false, even here I defy it. Say me sadly the sooth, for love or for awe.
Oh, Sir Pilate, the tales the traitor has told, it heaves us in heart full haily to hear them. The warlow with his wills he weans them to wold, the lad with his leasings full lightly gan leer them. Full tight will he take them until him, and he thus forth go with his gauds, or speech overspread, better is to spill him. The fator is so fell with his false frauds.
Your answer is hideous and hateful to hear. Had I not heard him myself, had him seen, ye might have made me to trow you in tear. but fault in him I find none, but conand and clean. For conand and clean can I clep him, no fault can I find to refuse him. I hope yet in haste ye shall hear him, when he comes to reclaim, that may ye curse him.
Lord, fell of his fears, in faith we have fond. Yon harlot heaves our hearts full of hate ire. He says himself that he is God's son, and shall sit on the right hand beside his own sire.
Their tales is full true that we tell on the rainbow the rebel that reads. He says he shall have us to heaven or to hell, to deem us a day after our deeds.
To deem us? In the devil name, say whether to the devil. What dastards, we need be wiser than we.
My lord, with your leave we never it for none ill. He has mastered his marvels to more than to me. My sovereign lord, yon Sauterel, he says, he shall cast down our temple, not for to lain, and dress it up duly within 3 days, as well as it was full goodly again.
Yea, sir, and on our own Sabbath day, then works he works full well.
Well, we fie on him, fater for aye, for they are dark deeds of the devil.
Sir, a noisome mare note, newly is noise, that grieves me more than any kin thing. He claims him clearly to the kingdom of Jews, and calls himself our comeliest king.
King? In the devil's name, we fie on him, dastard. What weens that wood Warlow overwin us thus lightly? A beggar of Bedlam, born as a bastard, now by Lucifer lath I that lad. I leave him not lightly.
Sir, the harlot is a Herod's whore, even here at your hand.
I sent him to that Warlow. The devil might him worry.
It langs to your lordship, by law of this land, as sovereign yourself, to sit of inquiry.
Sir, the traitor has told us more truthfuls truly, will teen you full tight, and you told them.
And we're just going to pause there because this is a very different text. It's doing very different business. It's flowing in a very different way. And Pilate, once again, is a slightly different figure. It's doing all sorts of interesting things. Lois.
Yeah, it's back to that rhyme scheme that I noticed yesterday, and the guy that likes feminine rhymes. I wonder if somebody kind of took over the Pilate part, that he kind of enjoyed doing it or something.
I don't think, unfortunately, you're allowed to do it between have the same actor on two different carts. But maybe at one point in its life.
I was thinking more of the writer. Somebody might have just said, I think Pilate's a bit boring in this version. Let me see what I can do, especially because these different episodes are so similar.
Yeah, to get continuity and between them, but also I say the nature of Pilate here is doing all sorts of, that boast that he makes at the beginning, and comparing it with earlier when relationship with his wife, and his extended family, whom we're going to be meeting a bit more again in a second. Lois.
Yeah, I wonder, was he wearing a mask? I mean, that whole description, that blazon, either he looks like that or he looks horrible, and the whole thing is a joke, if he's got a sort of devilish face.
Some characters definitely did have masks. I do not know whether other figures had masks as well, but the accounts might tell us such things. There may be data on that. Helen.
Yeah, I mean, Pilate came as rather a surprise to me. I hadn't seen a Pilate quite so Herod. He's very un-Roman. But no, I mean, they make their boast.
Yeah, and it's a good way of opening your pageant is, of course, come on, look at me, I'm great. Am I not fab?
Yeah. I mean, my eyes are clear. My cheeks are ruddy. My complexion is perfect.
My golden hair. Wow. Yeah.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe a wig. Maybe a wig there. Eric.
I'm guessing that that was also sort of like, look, I'm healthy, and sort of compared to sort of, I don't know, someone who's very pale and transparent and that kind of thing.
Or maybe he's there saying, look at me, how healthy I am, thanks to all these wonderful meat pies provided by by our particular guild.
Pretty much.
Go to the sausage stall down opposite, and you too will have my wonderful ruddy collection. I don't seriously think that's true. But maybe there is some sort of tangential thing that, that's linking to. Right. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, we'll move on further into text. But yeah, it's flowing in a very different way. It's got a nice bit of dynamism to it. It's not dependent on pauses like the other one was, which we didn't necessarily play. This is flowing in a very nice way and feels pacier. Right, we've got a first son popping in now, a different first son, because obviously it's a different person. But Pilate, having basically said, well, he's outside apparently. Shall we bring Jesus in? So Pilate, take it away.
No, by Belial bones, that boy shall abide and bring on his back a burden of gold.
My lord, that is leader of laws of this land, ye send him yourself to Herod the king, and says, the doom of that dog lies wholly in your hand, to deem him or lose him at your liking. And thus ye commanded your knights for to say, for Sir Herod will search him full sore, so that he wend with no wills away. And therefore, my good lord, move you no more.
Oh, certes, this was well said. But sir, will you cease now, and we shall see sign?
Sir Caiaphas and Annas, right so now I think, sits in Mahound's blessing, and asks us the wine. Ye knights of my court, commands us to drink.
Alas for woe that I was wrought, or ever I come be kind or kin. I ban the bones that me forth brought, were worth the womb that I bred in. So I may bid, for I so falsely did to him, that unto me great kindness did. The purse with his spends about I bear, there was none so trowed so well as I. Of me he trusts no man more, and I betrayed him traitorous with a false train. Sakeless, I sold his blessed body unto Jews for to be slain. To slay my sovereign sent I, and told them the time of his taking. Shamelessly myself thus sent I, so soon but ascend to his slay. Now wist I how he might pass that pain, to look that how best both might be. Unto the Jews I will again, to save him he might pass free, this were my will. Lord, wealth and worship mote with you be.
What tithings, Judas, tell'st thou us till?
My tidings are teenful, I tell you, Sir Pilate. Therefore I you pray, my master, that I gun sell you. Good Lord, let him wend on his way.
Nay, nidlings, Judas, that we deny. What mind or matter hath moved thee thus?
Sir, I have sinned full grievously, betrayed that right-wise blood, Jesus, and master mine.
Beausire, what is that to us? The peril and the plight is thine. Thine is the wrong, thou wrought it. Thou hight us fully truly to take him, and ours is the bargain. We bought him, though we are all sent for to slay him.
Alas, that made me rue full ill. Give ye assent him for to slay.
Why? What would thou that we did theretil?
I pray you, good Lord, let him go. And here is me of your payment hail.
Nay, we will not so. We bought him for he should be slain. To slay him thyself thou assented. This wot thou wonderly well. What right is now to repent? Thou shapest thyself unsell.
Do way, Judas, thou dost for naught. Thy words, I warn thee, are in waste. Thyself to sell him when thou us sought, thou wast against him than the most of us ilken.
We shall be venged on him in haste, whether that ever he will or none.
The words that thou nevest thought naught needs it, thou unhanged harlot, hark what I say. Spare of thy speaking, naught speeds it, or walk out at the door in the devil way.
Why, will ye then naught let him pass, and have of me again your pay?
I tell thee, traitor, I will it naught.
Alas, then I am lorn, both bone and blood. Alas, the while, so may I say, that ever I sent to spill his blood. To save his blood, sirs, I say you, and take you there your payment whole. Spare for to spill him, I pray you, else brew ye me full mickle bale.
Nay, hearest thou, Judas, thou shalt again. We will it naught. What devil art thou? When thou wast sought, thou wast full fain of this money. What ails thee now for to repent?
Again, sirs, here I give it you, and save him that he be naught shent.
To shent him thyself hast thee shamed, for thou may lathe with thy life that thou leads. Fondly as a false fool thyself has feigned. Therefore the devil thee drown for thy daft deeds.
I know my trespass and my guilt is so great it gars me grice. Me is full woe he should be spilt. Might I him save of any wife? Well, were me then, save him, sirs, to your service. I will me bind to be your man, your bondman, Lord, to be. Now ever will I bind me. Sir Pilate, ye may trow me, full faithful shall ye find me.
Find thee faithful? Ah, foul mote thee fall, or thou come in our company. For by Mahound's blood thou wouldst sell us all. Thy service will we naught for it. Thou art unknown. False tyrant, for thy traitory, thou art worthy to be hanged and drawn. Hanged and drawn should thou be known, and thou had right by all good reason. Thy master's blood thou bidst us save, and thou wast first that did him treason.
I cry you mercy, Lord, on me rue. This wearied wight that wrong has wrought, have mercy on my master true, that I have in your bindom bought.
And we're just going to pause there. There's only a line missing, potentially, there coming up. But I think we should just talk about what's going on with Judas here. He's changed his mind. He's had buyer's remorse. He wants to give the money back, and then he asks for a job.
Give for a job.
Yes, that's literally what I've just written in the margin. Just gives a job. So yeah, I mean the remorse seems it's there. He does seem genuinely penitent. He looks tormented, but it's basically they're going, why would we trust you? You just sold someone out. You are utterly unreliable. We're not going to hire you. So yeah, it's and yeah, they don't want to even touch the money. Don't want that. It's don't want to get involved. Thoughts of the room about Judas and this scene here, and the way that Caiaphas and Annas and Pilate are sort of working sort of in concert, but also are there differences? What's going on there? Rachael.
Is this part in the Bible, or is this from like out of Bible sources that they're taking this part from, or are they just adding this here to add it? Did this happen?
Lois.
Well, certainly Judas's repentance, and I think even his willingness to give the money back is biblical. I don't think Pilate was there, though. I think that Pilate's presence in this scene is Somebody just wanted to bring the actor back or something.
Yeah, it's briefly in Matthew, apparently. So as with many of these things, it's there, but it's not performed, as it were, in this scale. Yeah. So yeah, it's. I think there's more of a discussion amongst the high priest as what they might do with the money than it has anything to do with Pilate. So I don't think Pilate's there at all. Alan.
I certainly don't remember that episode turning up in any of the scripture lessons I sat through. That is a good many years ago.
No, so it is mentioned in passing, but it doesn't linger on it. Helen.
Yeah, I think that the big difference here is that Pilate is in on the earlier conspiracy. Pilate is in on the early planning. Pilate is much more a part of this, whereas in the Bible, it's all Annas, Caiaphas, and Judas. And then Judas and Pilate have no point of contact because the Sanhedrin, the priests, turn up with Jesus to Pilate. And that, for Pilate, that's where the story starts.
Yes, there's all sorts of extra dramaturgy going on here. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to figure out why they're doing it like this, whether it is that the Pilate actor is incredibly popular doing this big stuff, although presumably, I don't know if the same actor could be in many plays, or whether the character is popular, and also it's a good way to shut the audience up, is to have someone come on saying, "Shut up, you swine, I am the greatest," and so on. And it's a way of getting the play started. Yeah, I find this very odd that they seem to be building up his role so much.
And we do have other instances where Pilate's story is done other things with. I mean, in the Cornish cycles, there's a whole extended after his death. I mean, God, they can't get rid of the body.
Yeah.
The body comes back the very next day. And it just keeps returning like a bad penny, poisoning wherever it ends up. And the character of Pilate is again a very different interpretation. So. Yeah, it seems like people want to play around with this character. Other thoughts, Valentina? Are you waving or just moving your fingers there by your head? Okay. So Judas has been rebuffed, but there's some more rebuffing to do. He hasn't left the room. Pilate is going to dismiss him further in the dialogue that follows.
Give me a
Go
second.
jape thee.
Jape. Oh God, there's 4 japes in this text. I hate it.
It's before the ellipsis.
Got it.
After the
Got it. Yeah, it was the 4th. Right. Go jape thee, Judas, and never nick naught, nor move us in this matter more.
No more of this matter thou move thee, thou momlin mighting Emil. Our point express here reproves thee of felony falsely and fell.
He grutches not to grant his guilt. Why shonest thou not to show thy shame? We bought him for he should be spilt, all same as we were consent to the same, and thyself as. Thou feigned not for to defame, thou said he was a traitor false.
Yeah, and for a false fator, thyself fully gone sell him. Oh, that was a trant of a traitor. So soon thou should go to beguile him.
What, although that will let him go? Yon were it right that wrote such wrong, we will not lose our bargains well. So lightly for to let him gang, and reason why, let we that lateral live aught long, it will be fond in faith fully.
Yon fault for no fool till he find us. We wot all full well how it was. His master, when he gang bring us, he prayed you, my good lord, let him not pass.
Nay, certes, he shall not pass free, that we for our money has paid.
Take it again that ye took me, and save him from that bitter parade. Then were I fain.
Serves of naught. that thou hast said, and therefore takes it tight again.
Tight again, traitor. Thou take it. We will it not wield within our wold. It shall thou not, Sautrel, thus soon forsake it. For I shall serve him myself, sin thou hast him sold.
Forsake it in faith that he ne shall, for we will hold him that we have. The payment chaineth thee withal, thee there no nother covenant crave.
And there may be a line missing there.
Since ye sent him for to slay, vengeance I cry on you, ilk one. Okay, I cry, the devil fordo you, and that might I both hear and see. Herod evening, here I unto you, for sorrow unsought ye on me see.
Way, fie on thee, traitor, attainted this tide. Of treason thou trickst him that trusts thee for true. Do busk thee hence, brothel, no longer thou abide, for if thou do, all thy response sere shall thee rue. Say, wot thou not who is I? Now by my nuptiance might I nigh near thee, in certain, lad, yet should I lare thee to lords to speak courteously.
Go thy gates, Gedling, and grieve us no more. Leave of thy talk, the devil mote thee hang.
That at thee took me, take it you there. There was with your maestry make you among, to claim it you clean. Me lathes with my life, so live I too long. My traitor torn, he torment my teen. Since for my reason have I ta'en unto me there no ask, no mercy, for none mean I get. Therefore, in haste myself shall fordo me. Alas, the hard while that ever eat I meat. Thus shall I mark my melting mead, and work me wreak with heart and will. To spill myself now will I speed, for sadly I have served there till so well away, that ever I was in wit or will, that trusty true for to betray. Alas, whom may I move to? Shall I me take none other rede? Myself in haste I shall fordo, and take me now unto my deed.
Have done. Now, Sir Pilate, let's see what ye say as touching this money that we here have, that Judas in a wrath hath waved away, and cursed us crabbedly, that cursed knave. How say ye thereby?
Sir, send he it slag, we shall it save.
Tight, trust it to our treasury.
Nay, sir, not so.
And the next line is Caiaphas's. Apologise for the script error.
Why, sir, how then?
Sir, it shall not cumber us, nor come to our covenant.
No, till our treasury certain, farther shall it not.
And see yourself sooth, certain and skill, it is the price of the blood that we with it bought. Therefore at some point I purpose it till, and thus I devise a spot on earth for to be, wait now I will, to bury in pilgrims that by the way dies, pilgrims and palmers to put there, Sir Caiaphas and Annas, assenti thereto, and other false felons that we forfare.
As ye deem, Lord, so will we do.
Hail, Sir Pilate, peerless and prince of this empire. Hail, the gayest on ground, in gold there ye glide. Hail, the loveliest lord of Lyme and of Lyre, and all the sovereigns seemly that sitteth thee beside.
What would thou?
A word, lord, and wend.
Now thou art welcome, me wis, but deliver thee lightly, withouten any let. We have no tome all day to tent unto thee.
A place here beside, lord, would I wed set.
What title hast thou thereto? Is it thine own free?
Lord, free by my freedom me falls it. This tale is full true that I tell you, and Calvary locus men calls it. I will it wed set, but not for to sell you.
What would thou borrow, Beauchère? Believe. Let me see.
If it were your liking, my lord, for to lean it, 30 pence I would ye lent unto me.
Ah, yes, Beausire, that shalt thou have.
Show us thy deeds, and have here thy money.
Have here, good lord, but look ye them save.
Yes, certes, we shall save them full soundly, and else we do naught duly our devour. Fast freak for thy faith on thy foot fond thee, for fro this place, Beauchère, I soil thee for ever.
Now sorrow on such succour as I have sought, for all my treasure through treason I tine it untruly by treason, therefore now my way will I wend, for ye do me no right nor no reason, I betake you all to the fiend.
Now, certes, we are served at all. This place is purchased full properly. The field of blood look ye it call, to command ilkan for thee.
Sir, as ye command us, call it shall we so. But, my lord, with your leave, we may lend here no longer, but fast let us found to fang on our foe. Yon gedling ungodly hath brewed us great anger.
Do way, Sir Bishop, and be not abashed, for long lost is all our liking, leap he so light.
Nay, sir, he shall not trust so tight, and that he trust, for it wins us no worship, the works of yon wight, but great anger. Forth he let us dress us his death for to dight, and let we this loiterer leave here no longer.
Sir Caiaphas, through counsel, command we our knights to watch on yon Warlow, what way that he wends. Do dress you now duly to your dodderan, you dights, and let naught to let him in land where he lends, nor leaves him naught lightly.
In faith, we shall have fed him full far from his friends.
Now walks on the wynyard, and wend your way whitely.
And thus the story ends. It's an interesting focus at the end there about what to be done with the money. And this story, again, I think from Matthew, of the Field of Blood. But I don't think it turns up. I have no memory of it turning up in the 3 cycles we've looked at so far as an instant. Judas sometimes pops in and throws the money back. But I don't think the idea of what are we going to do with the money, and Pilate going, oh, well, we'll do this, and is the landlord available? Oh, lovely. And it's doing all sorts of things. It's doing some problematic-y things because, you know, you can almost see that the 2 characters that are explicitly labelled as Jewish going, ha, 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 money in ways that are just, yeah, really, and then it's the Roman character who says, let us use the money wisely in ways that, quite problemy. Judas, things not going to go well for him. Everyone keeps mentioning hanging every time he's around. I mean, we don't see him doing that, but he does give in to despair at the end, into one hope, which is inevitably going to send you to hell. Rachael.
This part of Armiger, who is he, and why does he just come out of nowhere in the end? I'm kind of confused.
Anyone want to throw in what is the function of this character? Yes, Helen first.
Yeah, I mean, Armiger is a rank. It's below a knight but above a gentleman. It effectively means the heralds have given him the right to bear arms, so it's a status thing. And he turns up with a field to sell because they need someone to buy a field from.
That's why he's there.
It's dramatic necessity.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Briony, then Lois.
Yeah, I just didn't really understand much of what I said there. So is he saying that all of his money is from treason and just being horrible to people? I think, yeah.
Well, I think is that to do with not wanting to take this money, because this idea that the money is somehow tainted because it's been used for bad purposes. Lois.
Yeah, I couldn't figure this episode out either. I mean, he comes in asking for 30 pieces of silver. He gets 30 pieces of silver, I think, and then he goes out cursing everybody. I mean, what happened?
Yeah. Other thoughts in the room, Alan?
I think the subject, maybe it's cursed money.
I think that's how I was thinking it, but it's not very clear how he knows that. Or
it's a miracle.
Helen.
What Alan said. The money is so tainted that once he gets it in his hands, he feels the bad vibes.
Rachael.
This one's a long shot, but it's because Herod before, when he was saying all his Hail Satan stuff, said something like devil of the liar or Satan of the liar. I wonder if some of these roles could have an obvious, devil character with the horns or the tail or something, or whatever they use to symbolize the devil at that time, dressed up as these people, because he says a bunch of weird stuff. Freedom, free by my freedom, me falls it, like he's fallen or something. I don't know if that's a long shot, but it would make sense if he's hanging around and how he would know. I mean, it could also just be the thing where the playwright, it's just a big hole in the script that doesn't matter. Just put it on the cart. We've got to go.
Eric.
I was just going to put it in the chat. I was going to ask, because the Armiger mentions Calvary, so isn't that where Jesus is supposedly to be crucified? Therefore, it's going to be sort of foreshadowing. No, I'm guessing.
No, absolutely. And that is something that has been definitely added by the playwright. So they're doing a whole connectivity thing between this supposed site, the blood money, and the place where the thing will go on. I think there's a reason why it turns up here and not necessarily anywhere else. Is it seems awfully complicated and confusing, especially in street theatre where you're trying to communicate, to an audience. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, what does this mean? The Armiger says, and by my freedom me falls it. I take it he's inherited this, perhaps when he became free of the guild that he belongs to. And then it's a place called Calvary. And then he says, I will it wed set, but not for to sell you. What does that mean?
It was set, but not for to sell you. It's a good question. I'm going to have a little look, see if I can find anything that's helpful.
Is he trying to rent it rather than sell it?
Well, maybe it's a forced sale that Pilate's trying to set up here. I would wet set 4, 3, 4, 5. Any other thoughts in the room while I have a little rummage? Rachael.
No, I think he is renting it to them, because the next line he says, "If it were your liking, my lord, for to lend it, if you would like to, I could lend it to you."
Yeah, wed set is
30
mortgage.
pence lend to me.
So the Armiger wants to offer offer to lend out the land, effectively rent out the land. He doesn't want somebody to buy it off him wholesale. I think that's the sort of idea.
He wants a mortgage.
Yeah.
And that was a medieval concept.
This is all sort of explaining but not explaining at the same time. We're not making it any clearer why this is all happening. Briony.
So he's okay with renting them the field, which they're going to use for something really terrible, but he doesn't want the cursed money that he has no idea of no way of knowing that it's cursed.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll just step away from this area of confusion, and because for the moment, unless you have an amazing flash of inspiration, just to go back to Judas, it is genuinely quite harrowing. Actually, Judas is a broken figure. He's totally destroyed by what he's been done, and there really is sympathy for him, I think, in this text to some degree. Because he's surrounded by these awful people by and large. Pilate is not a wholly sympathetic character by any stretch of the imagination. Caiaphas and Annas are not desperately nice either, and he comes in and everybody lays into him. I mean, it just doesn't end. Even the soldiers get a go. Just going, we wouldn't trust you either, mate. Lois.
Yeah, he goes off saying, I'm now going to hang myself. I'm just surprised they don't show this on the stage. I mean, we have so many hanging episodes and people hanging other people and so on. And this would be another nice sensational moment, but they don't seem to be doing it. He just says, I'm going away and I'm going to hang myself right away. In fact, he just says he's going to kill himself. Yeah.
I think we do have a hanging of Judas in one of the others, or at least it's an additional bit of material. Whether it's enacted or whether it's just a speech like this before he goes and hangs himself, I can't remember off the top of my head. Eric?
I was going to say that maybe they avoid the onstage hanging to sort of play up the violence later on, because I mean, you're going to have basically, if they stage the crucifixion as most cycles do, then it would be sort of it's like sort of by contrast, basically. It would sort of escalate the violence by contrast and make it look even worse than before. And also because Judas would not get you wouldn't feel sorry for Judas in that way, I guess.
Just a note, yes. So in Townley we have a hanging of Judas play. It's incomplete at the end, so we don't know if he actually hangs himself. We just know he's moving in that general direction. I don't think it appears in others, apart from just a general statement of intent like here, but I will have a little rummage. Again, Briony.
I thought it had in the one that we read recently, so that the End Town one. I thought there was a stage direction that just said hang.
It may indeed. I cannot remember if he just wandered off, or whether he did indeed. I'm just going to have a little scan of that while we go round. Approaching final thoughts as well for these two plays. Does anyone have any additions that they want to thoughts about these? And actually, Eric, just thinking ahead, it's a good point actually where these are placed, because sometimes you don't want to go too violent if you've got violence coming up and things that maybe actually it's all a bit bread on bread if we do that, and that it makes sense to spread the load a bit. Helen.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I'd seen an Italian passion play where Judas did actually hang himself. I mean, it was in another the play was an incident within a film, but I do remember that. But it was a very Judas-centric play.
Just on Briony's point, in End Town, Judas casteth down the money and goeth and hangeth himself. So we can interpret that as whether that's literal or just we know that's where he's off. In that text, join this, just checking through all the texts here to find out how many hangings we have available. That's how I spend most of my afternoons, generally. Other thoughts, Eric?
Well, also doesn't I think it was Herod in the previous one where he asks if so we're gonna hang this guy about Jesus, and they kind of go, well, it's up to you. I think that might be a misinterpretation of the line. There's something about what have you brought him to hang or something like that.
Okay, I'm going to go round now and do final thoughts from the room and see what we get. So yeah, we've been diving into York a bit this week. I didn't intend to do quite such a sustained reading of York in this fashion. Hopefully we will spread it out the load a little bit more in the way we prefer to do. Eric, do you have any final thoughts that you want to throw in about these plays overall, or for that matter, plays across the week? We've gone from plays 26 now through to 32. We're past the halfway mark. In fact, we may only have about a third of this cycle left to do.
If you think about it, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting how they get darker and darker, but you can't tell because they kind of don't really have that many stage durations compared to the other ones. And it's kind of also, well, we did yesterday. We got was it yesterday? No, the day before. We got the sort of weakness of Jesus kind of going, being very human. And then today he was shipped off to sort of to Herod, and was quite, I don't know, it was quite, this, I don't know, there's a power in silence, I think, that is also quite interesting. And because that's what he chooses to do. He doesn't choose to sort of talk back or react. Obviously, this is a biblical thing, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but it is different to some of those other Herod plays where Herod it basically just does a monologue at him. Whereas this is in this play they had all these different interlocutors trying to get at Jesus, and that seems quite different and maybe unique to this cycle. It may not be, but it definitely seemed like it was trying to do quite a different job of work.
Yeah, they're basically poking and prodding at him, and then he's, trying to provoke a reaction, but nothing happens except the fact that, he just probably gets bloodier and more bruised, and then I don't know. Are you supposed to feel sorry for Judas when, because obviously it's the next play is the remorse of Judas, but then he expresses pity, but they don't let him hang himself on stage, which makes me think, they don't want him to. They don't want the audience to feel sorry for him, in a way. It's like, we have to do this episode, therefore we're gonna move on.
Well, it's feeling sorry for. It's as much that he's a lesson as well. You do not want to give in to despair like Judas does. This is the ultimate. Go. You go to jail. Do not touch go. Do not collect £200. If you commit suicide and you give in to despair, you're never getting into heaven.
Yeah, but also he's the traitor, so therefore he's estranged himself by himself from society.
Briony, do you have any final thoughts?
I struggle a bit with the passion-y stuff. I'm not very passionate about it, but the language has really redeemed it for me because it's just been fun to read and listen to, even if I didn't understand large chunks of it.
Lois, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny, if the idea was to warn people off the sin of despair, nobody actually does that. I mean, nobody obviously tells Judas that there's still hope, and nobody comes on to say, and thus you can see that you shouldn't do this. I don't know, I found, it struck me that the cycle as we've read it shows the problem. If you've got an enormous number of guilds and have to divide up the material and find some way to give everybody something to do and use all the actors, you end up going on and on forever. I mean, it's clear that these plays must have been written by members of the clergy, because they would have had to have read things like the Gospel of Nicodemus and commentaries on the Bible and so on to get all this rather interesting extra information, or fictionalizing really of these characters. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it didn't really work in reading, because silence in a reading as opposed to a live performance just doesn't carry anything.
Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. This last play, I don't recall anything like this length of material on this particular topic in the other cycles that I've looked at. It may be that they've been in episodes which I've not been present. And it's certainly not something I remember as being an area of the Bible that was stressed in scripture lessons. various sorts. And as I think Lois said, an awful lot of this, the verbiage that we've had over the last 3 days, would need a lot of fleshing out with physical action and stage directions to actually make it much more powerful. The silence of Christ during the Herod's play. I can visualize ways that one could do that physical action, which would actually make it a much, much more powerful impact on the audience.
I think you're right. I don't think any other play spent anywhere near as much time on the remorse of Judas. It seems to be crammed in amongst other stuff going on. And yeah, this seems to be the fullest and therefore perhaps the most interesting version, but maybe not. Someone was saying in the chat we should do this idea of looking at things in quick succession, maybe looking at individual stories and the compare and contrast might be a fun exercise to do further down the line, he said. Let's get through the cycles first. Rachael, any final thoughts?
I don't know, the biblical stuff, the subject is not my number one subject, but these were interesting compared to End Town, because it felt like there was a little, maybe a little more humor in this at points, even though it's supposed to be cruel humor. And I think as we get into like some of the other stuff, it's supposed to be, what do you call it? Callous, come off a little callous maybe. Yeah.
It's different. It is that difference to End Town, which is this unrelenting build-up of cruelty during this sequence, whereas here, because it's episodic, it's not playing the same dramaturgical game at all. It's much more leisurely about each of these things, and that each unit has its own energy and its own pace. So it is interesting about what happens when you stage things in different ways, what that does to the text. Helen, any final thoughts?
Yeah, two things. Firstly, the how we've changed over reading it. One or two of us noted that one or two of us were reading rather well and accused them of practicing beforehand, which turned out not to be true. It's just that on the third day, we got our eye in.
And on the third day, Rose.
Yeah, on the third day, we actually cracked it.
Rise.
I think that there are definite advantages to doing a whole load of this early stuff in bulk, because it does take time to get yourself into the rhythm and to start to recognize the words. That's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing was that when the second play started, because the two soldiers were on, I assumed that Jesus was too. Now, it became apparent that he probably wasn't. But nevertheless, if you think how this scene would definitely change if Jesus was a silent spectator during this scene, it would be interesting, especially how it would change Judas.
Yeah. Yes, for the few times we've done several sessions in a row in this fashion, when we did Castle of Perseverance and End Town, actually. It definitely, by the end of the week, everyone's bouncing along much happier. We almost want to do a session which we're not recording, which we just do to practice. You need a practice run around the garden before going forward. Valentina, you've just been here for this session, but of course they're episodics, and you've been about, I'm sure, for some of our earlier mystery plays sessions. How any final thoughts?
I always find them fascinating because I always find interesting how people would perform, pass along the Bible stories onto people that might not have been able to read them. So which points they stress and which points they don't stress. But no, Helen robbed me of my final thought because I was there. I was going is Jesus in that scene or not? In that play or not? So yeah, that's about it.
And finally, Dan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's difficult coming in on the last day for this. It's a massive manuscript. I wanted to find more similarities. I was hoping to find more similarities with the N-Town plays in terms of how the play is constructed in its original form. And all I can find myself doing is wanting more out of it. And I hate that comparison-wise, saying, well, it's not as good as something else, or why couldn't it have this or that? But what I do find as a performance text, it's not that it's not performable. It's just that the original manuscript doesn't offer you much in terms of, well, it doesn't give me hints as to how we're going to stage it or what might be missing, because there's so few annotations in it. And yes, there are certainly the suggested missing lines in it that in the digitalized edition are symbolized by ellipses. They appear to be based off of just what's in the text in terms of the train of thought, as well as the rhyme scheme. As far as the stage directions, yeah, it's not at all now making a comparison, N-Town plays where there's full descriptions, there's some staging ideas in there. And yeah, we know pageant wagons, they were around it during this time. So that's about all we know about it. But the stage directions are later annotations done in secretary hand. And recalling that this was written probably around the beginning, mid-15th century. This is somebody who wrote some stage directions in Latin and very scant and not very descriptive for I don't know what purpose. So if this text was ever used to be staged, somebody was writing it on a different manuscript, because it certainly doesn't offer me enough on it. As far as I can go on it, I would love to see what somebody has done with this play, but who has really worked along on this. But it's, from looking at it right now on this reading, it is pretty difficult to sift through.
Yeah, I mean, it is. As you were saying, N-Town gives us so much additional data, and you get the impression that you're sitting down and watching a show. I mean, there is a thing with York. There is additional material that gives us some clues, and sitting down and really working through this, you can get that. But also, we do have differing modern production. We have got people who've done solid experiments as to how to stage individual pageants, and also the more modern performances that are adapted and played around with. Helen?
Yeah, I think it would be a mistake to assume that the actors could read. So the fact that there aren't acting texts doesn't actually mean much. What some of the experts that at a seminar I went to were saying on this was that a lot of the actors would play the same roles year in, year out. And when they got too old for them, their son would take over. So I think we've got to an extent, I think the importance of the manuscript is not as great as it would be in practically any other form of drama.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concept for this manuscript coming into existence is as a register of the plays at a specific point in time. So they're copying a certain amount of data. That doesn't mean that there weren't use documents that were being used as part of the production that are separate. And Helen's point about this is part of a continuity. We sometimes get trapped in this idea of, how did they learn their lines, and how did, when what's more important with the text like this is how do they remember the lines the year after they've done it last year. And we have accounts with some playing of you before you go to perform it or anything, you have a primary rehearsal, which is where you turn up and you recite your lines to prove that you know them, and that's an important job. And the thing is, if you did it the year before, that's quite important just to make sure that it's ticking over, and it's more an admin issue rather than a newbie learning their lines for the first time. Now let us recite them so that you can prove that you know them. So that there's all sorts of problems sometimes thinking about this as the first time they were performed, as opposed to the time after and the time after. Eric, Lois, then Dan.
I was going to say that, because the thing that comes to mind is actually Heywood with his pageants, where he doesn't write anything. He doesn't tell us like what is going on. And I was thinking it might just be sort of that thing of, the actors know what they're doing because they've done it so many times. And basically what Helen said. But in a different sense, that as in it's sort of, you just need a record of what's going on. You don't of the speech. You don't need a record of what's going on because you the physical business, because what's going on. You're in it. You've seen it a million times. You've been there.
And you don't need to describe the cart because you own it. You don't need to decide, those elements. Just for the listeners at home, that we're talking about civic pageantry, Lord Mayor's Show from the 1630s there by Thomas Heywood, who resolutely refused to tell us what the damn things looked like. I'm not bitter. Lois?
Yeah. Something I've read about lately, which if apparently even some modern directors use, is a technique. I think modern directors use it in rehearsal, where somebody prompts the actors. They go in not knowing their lines really, but also not holding the text. And somebody just keeps telling them what to say, and they say it. And there is some theory that this was also done in medieval drama. I'm not sure whether it was a rehearsal technique or even done in performance, but I just wondered, I've read about this and I don't really know if people know about this or whether it's considered valid.
I believe that yes, that in one part of the country that is a recorded practice, and yes, the prompter is a person just sitting at the side. I am reading the script through in a slightly quieter voice, and the actor in front has to just say it, and that it almost never ends. Though I can check that reference. There's a very nice book on staging conventions that is available, so we can actually look into that. Dan.
Yeah, so anyone who's been around knows that this is the subject I've been studying for, actors' parts, and so I'm very open to what could have happened. If it could have happened, then I'd like to see how it would have happened, and obviously proof is always a very difficult thing because we're talking manuscripts from 600 years ago now. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that this is the only text we have, and as Rob had said, just for a specific purpose, it seems to me to be recording what was done, or I should say what was written, but not necessarily to be used for performance. Now, in terms of how they would have learned their text, yes, it's a popular theory that most prominently supported by Tiffany Stone and Simon Palfrey about, you had a master actor or a tutor who was teaching the actors and they would basically parrot them. But then there was also the existence of actors' parts, manuscripts we had studied in here, or at least when I had talked about it here before, it was an early modern parts that I was doing. But we actually do have also medieval manuscript parts that exist, coming from the 1400s and 1500s, not just from England, but from other countries as well. So the same convention was used. And practically speaking, these are some pretty big parts. And we do have a full manuscript with pretty full parts there in terms of how would one practically learn their part if an entire part was just being read to them by a prompter. It seems to me unfeasible and untenable. Whether actors could read their parts is always the subject, and studies have been done on this, but studies based on people's signatures or studies based on, well, who would have gone to school and whatnot. So I'm always leery of the idea that, well, they couldn't have read, because we don't know that, at least those who had done their roles. Practically speaking, I want to know, well, how did somebody learn 2,000 lines if they couldn't have read? Because somebody was just telling them and they just remembered? Maybe. I'd like to see someone try to do it today. And the idea that somebody in the Renaissance or in the medieval times had a better memory than me today is something that cannot be proved. So that's where I stand on it.
Briony, I saw ages ago. I can't, and then Rachael. Did I make that up? I must have made it up. Rachael.
Did they have music with these cards going around? Like, because in some of the other stuff that... Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
We do even have some music cues, some actual music for some of the cues, I believe, does exist. And there's plenty of stuff that is plausible that may also fit amongst it. It's not very helpful. These texts don't always give us helpful cues, not like N-Town, where it's constantly giving us nice cues where this is where music obviously lives, or this should have music with it. Other thoughts? Briony?
It's just to have said that I have done this technique with a modern director, and he referred to it as shadowing.
Did it work? Did you like it?
Yes, it's interesting. You need to build up a rapport with the person who's feeding you the lines, though, because they need to know how much they can give you at once.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? So it is, it's something that you probably have to practice a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I have read accounts of people doing this, and I think somebody also wrote about a production of something in Bulgaria or somewhere where this turned out to be the general practice, not just a one-off thing.
Well, we've also got, modern variants is the various productions where people have recordings through their earphones and they're literally mimicking the performance, so that and effectively you don't ever learn your lines because you're always having the sounds being fed to you. Though, of course, their accounts on how successful that is varies. I haven't been able to find the reference in the time we have allotted, sadly, but I'm sure I'll find it at some point. All that remains to thank all these wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Great lords ought to be gay.